The Ichaival is a legendary holy bow introduced in Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, wielded by Uller of the 12 Crusaders, who famously did not appear in her own game and actually had her first appearance in the mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes. This weapon can only be wielded by Uller's descendants, namely the archer Bridget and her children. Many weapons in Fire Emblem draw inspiration from real-life mythological weapons, such as the Holy Lance Gungnir, which is the mythical spear of the Norse god Odin, and the Tome Mjolnir, which is named after the hammer of the Norse god Thor. Many of these weapons also appear in other media, and so does the Ichaival, though clearly it's more obscure. In addition to Fire Emblem, the Ichaival has appeared as an item in the third-person mythological MOBA Smite, where it is a tier 3 offensive item that grants attack speed and physical power. It has also appeared in the 2012 Japanese anime Symphogear in the form of a mechanical battlesuit wielded by a Japanese teenage idol who uses its crossbows, miniguns, and missile launchers to harness the power of music to fight aliens. These two are the most well-known instances, but I have also discovered through my own personal research that the Ichaival has in fact appeared for a third time, more specifically in the 2017 Norse-themed Ragnarok DLC for the 2016 re-release of the Diablo-like video game Titan Quest. So, surely, with all these appearances, there must be some myth surrounding the Ichaival, but what exactly is it from? The answer is nothing. The Ichaival is not the weapon of a hero or a god. In fact, there is no such weapon in Norse mythology. Ichaival is not even a Norse word to begin with. This word is merely the English romanization of the Japanese word ichibaru, the first usage of which dates directly to the release of Fire Emblem 4. In other words, this weapon is not real, and I don't mean not real in the same way that myths aren't real. I'm saying it was made up in the last 30 years by a Japanese video game developer. So let's break down the actual Japanese terminology. Ichaival or Ichibaru has two parts. The first couple of characters, Ichi, is a Japanese word for yew, which is a tree that has been historically used to create bows, something you may know if you have ever played RuneScape. The second part, Baru, possibly refers to a valley of sorts, giving a rough translation to Yew Valley or Valley of the Yews. It is possible that this is a Japanese corruption of the actual Norse word Ydalar or Yewdales, which is one of the dwellings of the Norse god Uller. However, this is where the connection to actual myth ends. Uller, the Norse god of archery, the same god that the Fire Emblem character is named after, has no such bow named Ichaival. Later translations of this name in Fire Emblem Awakening were translated as Yewfell, Yew referring to the yew tree, and Fell meaning something along the lines of well or valley. It's pretty close. So the Ichaival is merely a reference to a mythical location, but is not actually a mythical weapon. But if that's the case, then why does it keep showing up in so many other media? Why did it show up in 2012 in an anime and 2014 in a MOBA, and again in 2017 in a Diablo clone? It is technically possible that all of these separate entities came up with the exact same term independently, but it's much more likely that there's a connection. There is in fact evidence pointing to a convoluted game of telephone through shoddy surface level research of low traffic Wikipedia articles. So, let's establish a timeline. The first known instance of the word Ichibaru dates back to Fire Emblem 4, with no known other appearances for a very long time. We can tell by using Google's time-based search history that there are no other instances of this until around the year 2011, even when searching the specific Japanese term. The Ichaival will also appear in a 1999 Fire Emblem 4 art book and in a 2002 expansion of the original Fire Emblem TCG as a playing card. The next known appearance of Ichaival was in episode 7 of the first season of the Japanese anime Symphogear, which aired on February 17, 2012. The next appearance in a different medium after that will be in the associated Symphogear manga, more specifically in Volume 3, Chapter 11, which was published sometime in late 2012. Symphogear also features many other named mythical weapons such as the Gungnir, and given the timing, I suspect that Symphogear simply took a name from Fire Emblem 4. And I suspect the reason is that there simply are not that many named mythological bows of Norse origin. The next instance was the fateful edit in December of 2013 on the Wikipedia list of mythological objects that described Ichaival as a bow possessed by Odin. It then follows up to say that another source said it came from Ydalar, the home of the god Uller. And shortly after, The user also added that the bow was described as being able to shoot 10 arrows with just one bow. So you might be thinking, where the hell did this come from? And I'll get back to it. The next appearance of Ichaival appears to be in patch 1.0.2326 of the third-person MOBA Smite in October 1st of 2014, where an item called Ichaival was added, though its only presence is its name, as items in Smite do not appear to have any descriptions. The next event on the timeline will occur in March 12 of 2015, where some hero attempted to remove Ichaival from the Wikipedia list of mythological weapons. However, a mere 1 hour and 30 minutes later, the change will be reverted because no reason or rationale was provided for the deletion. On November 23, 2016, someone copied the text from the list of mythological weapons to the list of magical weapons verbatim, further spreading the lie. The wiki would remain in this state until January 21, 2018, where both of the entries of the offending fake mythological weapon Ichaival are finally removed from the Wikipedia lists, with the justification of it being from a video game with no historical basis. And with that, the false weapon Ichaival was banished from the internet, never to deceive anyone ever again. Just kidding, there is one last victim of this trickery, and it is in the 2017 Norse-themed third DLC of the 2016 anniversary edition of Titan Quest, a Diablo clone video game that originally launched in 2006. And the Ichaival is simply the name of a legendary bow that you can obtain in this game. So now that we have a timeline, we can connect the dots. Where did everything go wrong? I suspect that the 2012 anime Symphogear drew direct inspiration from Fire Emblem 4, or alternatively some Japanese wiki or other source. Prior to Symphogear releasing, there were simply no instances of Ichaival ever appearing in any context outside of Fire Emblem. The timing of the December 2013 Wikipedia edit leads me to suspect that the person who made the change was possibly a fan of Symphogear, because it occurred shortly after the anime released. It is then likely that this Wikipedia entry led directly to the naming of a weapon as Ichaival in a 2014 update in Smite. Other weapons added around that time include Odysseus' bow, an entry that's also present in the Wikipedia list at the time, but has since been updated to a different name. And lastly, we have Titan Quest, which also probably took a name from the Wikipedia list of mythological weapons, as Ichaival was still on the page when it was being developed. However, the game is not very well documented, so who knows. So let's back up again and look at the description provided by this incorrect Wikipedia edit. We know that the matter of Yadalar and the god Uller likely comes from the Japanese etymology of this made-up word, but what's with the other stuff? Where did the idea that Ichaival was Odin's bow come from? And what about the idea that it shoots 10 arrows like a fucking Dark Souls Avalon on crack? I looked into some of the literature, and in fact there is a crossbow that shoots 10 arrows in Norse myth. More specifically, in Book 1 of the Danish history, originally written by Saxo Grammaticus, a 12th to 13th century Danish historian. The passage reads as follows. The old man drew an arbalist. This seemed small at first, but soon projected with a more prolonged tip, and accommodated 10 arrows to a string at once, which were shot all at once at the enemy in a brisk volley and inflicted as many wounds. So we have some unnamed old man shooting an unnamed crossbow that divides arrows into 10. Odin has been sometimes described as an old man, and this is where the connection may lie. Furthermore, a later passage also describes the old man as having magical powers over weather and prophecy, which could align with the Odin theory. But this is an extremely flimsy connection, and Odin is never referred to by name in this instance, and neither is the weapon. So for all we know, it's just some old dude with his unnamed repeating crossbow. The only other source I have seen of Odin having a crossbow that shoots 10 shots is from the light novel series A Certain Magical Index NT Volume 9, published in January 2014, where there is a brief mention of a similar weapon wielded by a character named after Odin. In this case, the specific character is called Othinius, who is an ageless magic god who has the appearance of a 14-year-old girl. The timing of the publication of this novel is extremely close, but is after the edit of the Wikipedia article. I have a couple of theories, one of which is a minor conspiracy theory. So let's start with the fun one. The link between Odin and this crossbow is extremely obscure, and also something I have been unable to find in any other source. With just a little over 3 weeks between the edits and the publication of the book, I find it unlikely that the author sourced the Wikipedia article, so possibly it's the other way around. Going by the Wikipedia article edit history, the December 2013 change was made by a user without an account. And if you edit a Wikipedia article without an account, it records your IP address instead. So I traced the IP address and found that the location roughly tracks to somewhere in Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia, which is located in Southeast Asia. The Japanese light novel series, A Certain Magical Index, is authored by a certain author, Kazuma Kawachi, which is the pen name of an otherwise completely unknown and anonymous author. So basically what I'm saying is that he could be literally anyone from anywhere. And anywhere includes Indonesia. Now it's possible that the IP has changed, but it's also possible that either someone involved in the editing process of this novel, or even the author themselves, made this wiki article change shortly before the volume was published. The timing is simply suspiciously close, and I cannot find any other source of connections being made between Odin and a bow that shoots 10 shots. My second theory is that this is just a reference to Sinful Gear itself. The Ichaival wields 2 crossbows that shoot 5 arrows each for a total of 10. It also has miniguns and missile launchers, but I'm guessing those weren't included. One problem with this theory is that the Ichaival in Sinful Gear has absolutely no reference to Odin in any way. In any way before the edit was made, at least. It's possible that both of these sources independently drew inspiration from a similar myth around the same time. It is also possible that there is some other Japanese resource on Norse mythology that both of these sources refer to that is incorrect. As I cannot read Japanese, my ability to research this in more detail is limited. Unfortunately, this last option is probably the most likely. However, one thing to note is that these close timings are not merely conspiracy. I found Reddit posts that seem to be directly linked to the Wikipedia article changes. Unfortunately, this isn't directly linked to the 2013 Wikipedia edit of the misinformation. For example, when the hoax of the Ichaival was disproved in January 21, 2018, there was a Reddit post on January 20, 2018 on the r/Norse subreddit, the day right before, where a handful of users discussed possible origins of the word Ichaival and came to the conclusion that it's not a Norse word and just comes from a Japanese video game and has no root in Norse myth. Merely a day later, on January 21, 2018, the Wikipedia edit to remove the Ichaival was made, and this is simply too connected to be a coincidence. Either a reader or one of the participants of the discussion made that change. Similarly, on May 26, 2018, the Fire Emblem fandom wiki also removed the description describing the Ichaival as Odin's bow, and this is likely connected to a thread on the r/Fire Emblem subreddit posted on the same day, which discussed the Ichaival's etymology. So it's not unthinkable for a person to try to immediately change a wiki entry the moment they think they learned something new. So just maybe, my conspiracy theory may have some element of truth to it. So what have we learned today? As it turns out, if you make something up that's obscure enough, people will just believe you. It's crazy to think that some random invented Fire Emblem weapon has somehow made its way into multiple video games and an anime despite clearly having no origin. The second lesson is that anime corrupts history. Just you wait, in 100 years, someone's actually going to think King Arthur was a lady. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if there's other obscure Fire Emblem things you'd like me to cover. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.